Hello, this is Story Drops with another culture shock story. And you were right, my voice is different, and this is the one I used to kid with my grandkids. And I used it when I was with children were small, and I used to pretend I am Mr. Sherlock Holmes or Monsieur Poirot from Agatha Christie's mystery books. Hi, yeah, I'm Julep, and this wonderful summer day, I just thought of sharing a story back from home in Sylhet, Bangladesh, from my village, Bongaon. So back then, I was a growing little girl, and I absorbed like a sponge, everything that went around me. I was curious, so curious that my father used to call me an insect because I used to go from corner to corner exploring, destroying, tearing. But that's in the past, and I continue to be curious. So let's get to the point. When I was growing up in the late 60s in the village of Bongaon in Sylhet, men had always worn lungis. Now, lungis is a kind of loose garment that is stitched just at the one end so that it's like a whole garment. And I used to observe like how many ways these men used their lungis. I'll start right from the beginning, what fascinated me. Like, this is a lungi, and I will put it just like they used to. I watched my uncles and grandfathers and everyone and the lungi they had used, and I observed like how it is worn. So there you put it around you there, and then I'll move far so that you can see me. So here you go. So you tighten it around your waist and put it around like this and tie it into a knot. See? Put it here. There you go. And there is no way it can open. It's absolutely tight. See? It's firm as a stitch cloth. Now, let's begin. The first uses that men made in the villages with the lungi was they tucked in things up there. You see in the folds, it becomes a perfect pouch. So suppose I have my cigar or the bidi they used to smoke, and they would tuck it in here and there. See, it doesn't fall. And even they tucked money up here, precious things. Perfect hideout, perfect safe place to keep things when you don't want them to get lost. And when it was very hot, as what typically be in summers in Bangladesh, one way they can make it into shorts was this, just like this. They would get the lungi up. Don't worry, I am wearing my pants, and wrap it around, bring it up and tuck it at the back, just like this. See, it's a perfect short. I'm going around and showing you. It won't open. Under no way can this open. It's a perfect short. Firm and steady. Cigarette here, money here. So unique. And these village people, who were mostly farmers, used to work in the fields. They would have very light clothing on the top or bare body because it's too hot. But this is the perfect short that worked for them to work on the, cut the rice, plant the rice, or work with the cow to get the field ready for the field crops. And one thing they made unique use of while going through some puddles, even bigger ones, where the water was like knee high or even waist high, and I would watch my fellow village men walk to the puddle fearlessly, and I would think, oh, they are going to get their clothes wet. Oh no, they had a better idea. They would open, let me put my cigar in my pocket. They would open their lungis, and keep raising it higher and higher without revealing anything until they reach the water level. Hold it like this. Their bare bodies would be going through the body of water without getting their lungi wet. How creative is that? They would cross the water or the streams, puddles, depending how high the water was. And it wasn't a bad thing at all because they were already under the water. You couldn't see anything and they could rise it as far as they want. And sometimes they even, when it was like this high, they would go there, pick their lungi up and keep it here to get, and then walk through the water. And once up through the water, where there is almost now the chance for the waist to be showing, they would put the lungi on, hold it high until it's safe, drop it again bit by bit until they are in the dry. And once again, see, you get it together, knot it up, 1 knot, 2 knots, there you go. Now this remarkable thing about the lungi is, it's a one size fits all. Anybody can wear it. For small boys though, they had smaller length lungis. There were just 2 sizes as far as I remember in my village at that time. Tiny ones for boys and this one size fits all, and they were always checked cotton, very comfortable to wear. And now this small village had a very figurative language. So my grandmother was a very stately lady. At that time, she was one of those ladies who have been educated in a British missionary school. She had done her matriculate and she was highly educated. So when these men sometimes came to her for some favor, and they would stand outside the door, and suppose they were smoking, before entering the door, they would take the smoke, put it out, put it in the pocket or the lungi, and we had no knocking system. We didn't know how to knock a door. So the traditional way was to say, let the other person inside the room know there is a man outside. My G, which means mother, they would call. And my grandmother would say, Kheta, means who are you? That's related dialogue, my friends. And the man would say, Ami Bhaiji, Aitamni. And he would say the name and grant permission. And my grandmother would say, Ayo. And only then would the man enter. And I often wonder, back time, it was way in a tiny village, but the men were very courteous, very respectful of the women of our household. They, even if we sat in the front of the bungalow somewhere, like my aunts and I. If a man was coming from there, he had to cross in front of us. Sometimes the lungi would come in handy again. You know what they did? They used to pick the end of the lungi, take it up, and hide their eyes like a veil, keeping sure that and lower the head so that the lungi covered the body, and then pass by. Right. So like, not seeing you, I know you are here, I respect, because the strong Muslim family that my family was, women were supposed to be veiled, at least remain in a moderate veiling system. We wouldn't say anything, my grandmother, aunts wouldn't say anything, but it was their way of respecting. And this lungi, incredible lungi, this was how handy it was. And let's tell you a little bit more about my Bengal life. So you see this biri I had, I was showing you a while ago. Oh, I dropped it on the way. So I was very curious, a very, very naughty tomboy. So one day I picked up a biri from the ground and just wanted to see how it feels to smoke. Just like this. I went to the kitchen, got it lighted, and was smoking very nicely. I was around 8 or 9 years then. This is how it feels. I wasn't liking it, but unfortunately just at that moment, in comes my uncle and catches me. I am so scared and frozen that my uncle doesn't say anything to me right then. It was in the afternoon. I was like wondering what happened. He didn't say anything. He was the only person I really did, respect in terms of yes or no. Our life has to be explored. You cannot really blame a curious, growing little girl who was in no way to be tamed. And then, dead in the night, it must have been, or I may have imagined, my uncle took me in his lap, carried me to our orchard, guava orchard, and put me on a branch. And he said, think about smoking. When you decide you are not going to do it, I'll let you go. And then it disappeared. It seems like hours. And finally I started to cry. Then he appeared and said, what are you going to do? I said, I will never do it again. And he got me down. And I kept my word. That was a terrible night. The fear of spending the whole night in the guava orchard while we had foxes, bobcats, everything on the hill on which we lived. Oh well, God saved me. But God saved me in the long way of never smoking either. And that was my uncle. He left us long time ago. May he rest in peace. So, till we meet again, the Sylohti, the culture shock, and what my grandmother often used to tell me because I was so naughty. Marilao, matat, pari dia marilao. Tomare luiya mi farina. That means, kill me with a hammer on my hand, on my head. I cannot deal with you. That was the language of Bengal. If there was pain, little pain, they would say, oh, seems to be murgiye khumtai, like a chicken is biting in my stomach. And if it was a harder kind of pain, my friends, they would say, Ya Allah, gail dia, sia dia, farairar amar feto. That means, A mortar and a hammer is going in my stomach. Well, that was the fun of language, the fun of lungi. And for me, the culture shock, the Sylohti Bengali. Bye today. Thank you for watching. Don't laugh, please, because I told you many secrets. Don't let my grandkids know. These are the things I did. They will justify their own actions. Till we meet again. Bye.